Hello. So here is my presentation on linked learning. I chose the article Good Eats, the integrated unit on nutrition and health, because I actually graduated with my undergraduate degree in kinesiology, and I worked in fitness for a little bit before deciding to switch over to teaching. So I love to live a super healthy lifestyle, and I studied it in college, so I thought it'd be interesting to see how they can apply it through a linked learning lens. Um, Even though it's not at a fourth grade level like I teach, I thought it'd be really cool to kind of get to analyze this unit and see how they're doing this across the curriculum. So my first slide is how this curriculum utilizes the linked learning lens. And I know you can't see all of the things I wrote on here, but the biggest thing I saw is that it is linked through every subject area, which is basically the definition of linked learning. So I wrote down the main content areas that this unit focuses on, and here's all the subjects listed. They hit biology. In some of the units, they are going to be researching the function and process of the digestive system and kind of learning about the macromolecules in nutrition, like carbs, proteins, fats, kind of those main nutrients that our bodies need. So that's how it ties it into biology. The health science, I loved the health science aspect of it, especially for high school kids, because for me personally, we weren't able to take a health science class. We really didn't learn about health until I got into college. So they talk about metabolism. The students will be looking into puberty and development and how that affects your metabolism and nutrition. Healthy eating habits, the food production and distribution, typically in the United States. I thought that was really interesting because I've definitely, there's a lot of things not regulated that I've learned about later in life. So I think it's great for high school students to get to learn about kind of how food is handled and the factors influencing self-image. I thought of that more of like a psychology aspect, but I think it's super, super important for high school kids to focus on the factors that influence our own self-image. Being a female, that's something that's really hard to deal with, and I've dealt with that with a lot of friends throughout my experience. So I think that is a great topic to include here. Interpersonal relationships and relations, they have to have oral presentation skills because a lot of them are going to be presenting on different things. And what I really loved is the cultural perspectives on nutrition. That differs a lot with my students at the fourth grade level because most of them are from Mexico, and the things that they have a very different food culture than I'm used to or what I grew up with. And there is a lot of different perspective on what nutrition is in different cultures and what they eat for typical serving sizes. And so I think that's a great way to bring in student backgrounds into this project. The English language arts aspect, students will have to learn how to do proper scientific writing throughout this unit. They will need research skills. So the teacher provided a bunch of different guiding questions for them, kind of teacher-directed inquiry questions for the students for this unit plan. And what I was thinking students are going to have to learn when they're using these questions to research, they're going to have to look at good versus bad sources and kind of what sources they should use for note-taking. And along with note-taking, students need to learn how to properly take notes, how to just paraphrase websites and the information they need to fit kind of their topic, how to use bullet points, and just good note-taking skills. That's all going to fall under English language arts. Another thing along with paraphrasing that students will have to learn is kind of when to use direct quotes and how important those are, and that their direct quotes that they might use need to be like strong and powerful direct quotes. Mathematics, I was really interested in the last two. How are they going to tie mathematics into this, and how are they going to tie world history into this? And it's phenomenal. I'm like blown away by this unit plan. They're going to be taking a bunch of descriptive statistics, mean, median, mode, and graphing them. They're going to be creating and graphing equations. They're going to be using line graphs, and they're going to be using exponential functions. So they did something with like food over time and how much money it costs. I forget. It was at the end of the unit I looked at they had a whole chart laid out, and it's pretty hard math when I was looking at some of the things they were having to do with the information that they were collecting based on like the food industries and all of that. World history, It touches on genetically modifying food, the genetic engineering, and they actually do a project and they genetically modify their own food and present it to the class, and that was really cool and fun and innovative. It mentions hunger in various countries and what causes hunger around the world, and kind of what hunger looks like all around the world. And then they also talk about the food production and distribution in other countries as well, along with the United States. So overall, this curriculum utilizes linked learning because all of these content areas are linked to their essential question and their problem, which is in the next slide that I'll get to. Their problem statement is, should we care about what we eat and why? And all of this stuff is linked across all of the curriculum, which is the main focus of linked learning. So how does this curriculum apply problem-based learning? So I actually got all these elements of PBL from chapter 1 in our book and kind of collected information from this unit to see how it tied into PBL. So they start off with a problem statement, which is what I just said. Should we care about what we eat and why? That's PBL. There's various roles of students, and this project has that. Students have to work in collaborative groups. They have to investigate. They have to delegate tasks. There's opportunities to analyze the situation and raise questions. So they do have guided questions. What is a healthy weight and how is it examined? This one is kind of open-ended, so they can analyze the situation and maybe raise questions from there, like, oh, well, how do they measure healthy weight and what are healthy weights in different countries, etc. Investigations in groups, as I stated earlier, the various roles of students ties into the group work because they are working collaboratively in groups, and the unit states that in the beginning. Analysis of findings, so they will be analyzing their findings, sharing their findings, and taking various assessments. So they have choice between like expository essays, PowerPoint, speeches, etc. They can choose the way they want to do it throughout the unit. There's a bunch of different various assessments that the students will be doing. This unit is huge, so I can't talk about every single assessment, but they have a ton of projects that will analyze whether or not they're understanding the material. What aspects of this curriculum can be adjusted? So although the definition of health is open-ended and the concepts regarding health may not yield subjective results, this is what I came up with. So I went through all the subunits and I wrote down, similar to my second slide here, kind of what they're going to be doing in each subunit. And what I've came across is that linked learning is cross-curricular, and all the teachers are teaching this one question with their own subject matter or own content. It's more teacher-directed instruction. It's more objective. Teachers have to tell you, kind of teach you how to do graphing and teach you about certain health and metabolism and the digestive system, biology, whereas PBL is more student-directed inquiry. It's more subjective and open-minded. So I kind of came up with a different question of like what classifies a person or what classified a person as being healthy. Maybe that would yield more subjective results where students can really do hands-on activities and figure it out in their own groups that what is healthy and what classifies someone as healthy. Whereas this linked learning, since you are teaching this as your main content, for example, this unit is 1 year. It takes them the whole year to complete, which blew my mind. It's so crazy, but since it takes them 1 year, teachers have to be teaching content during that time so students can learn. So it is kind of both, whereas PBL, I think we're headed towards more a student-directed inquiry. And with that, I think you'd have to change the question instead of asking kind of, should we eat healthy? Of course we should eat healthy. I think everybody knows that. Maybe it has to be something more of along the lines of like what classifies us as being healthy. And every student will have different research to back up what they think classifies a person as being healthy. Lastly, this curriculum utilizes constructivism because it is students are learning from their own experience. There's a bunch of experts that are going to be coming in and talking to the students during this project, which is really cool. So students construct their own knowledge. It's collaborative. They're doing active learning. They have laboratory on lab rats. They're constructing their own genetically modified food. So it's very much active learning. It is reflective because I think they can do their scientific writing and kind of reflect on what they learned and then learn new things from that and ask new questions. It's inquiry-based because students are investigating a topic and they are solving their own problems. And it's evolving because every student can kind of go their own route with this and find different information as long as it's reasonable. Every student is gaining knowledge and no student is gaining insufficient knowledge. So it kind of takes a lot of student answers and qualifies them as being okay. It's student evidence that works. So thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope it didn't go too long, and I really loved overall learning about linked learning. It's overwhelming, and I wish there was an easy way for me to incorporate it starting now, but I am truly inspired, and I think it's definitely the route that education will start going.